How's it going, traders, investors? In this video, we're going to be looking at the top 3 stocks that are actively working and moving the markets as we speak. As you can see over here, Dow futures rallied 700 points after reports that says that Gilead drug showing effectiveness against the pandemic virus that we're experiencing right now. I'm going to be going over the 3 stocks. Of course, the first company is definitely going to be Gilead company, and we're going to be looking at the other 2 companies also that are actually having a positive impact to fight against the pandemic. But now let's get into the video. So the first stock that we're going to be looking at is going to be Juliet Sciences Incorporated. As you can see over here, after hours it's up 16.41%, which is $12. All of the stocks I've mentioned in my previous videos 2 months ago, talking about the potential of these companies for the fight against the pandemic. But just basically what moved this company today, what moved the entire markets today, is basically the news that came out that one of the treatments or one of the drugs that Juliet Sciences were actually working on had a very, very positive effect. So basically one of the drugs is called Remdesivir. Remdesivir is an antiviral medication and nucleotide analog, specifically an adenosine analog, which inserts into viral RNA chains. As you know, that the virus is basically and attacks the RNA, it attaches, and then it goes into the respiratory tracts to cause all kinds of damage to the respiratory part of your body, basically the lungs. You're not able to breathe. So this drug is basically going to help people that are in severe situations. So people that are going on like basically needing ventilator needs and they're about to die and things like that, and this drug effectively helps those people. As you can see over here, we're testing this drug. They're actually on a phase 3 trial right now as we speak. So if we move on, if we're seeing success, it's going to get approved by the FDA, and this treatment and the Remdesivir drug is going to be available to treat severe patients, people that are on the brink of dying due to this pandemic virus. So one of the main things that you need to be looking for is this, even though the statistical data is not there because they're only testing it on a few amount of patients in Europe, in the US, and also in Asia. In the US, one of the states where we're testing this Remdesivir drug is in Chicago, and basically they had they tasted it on 125 patients, and the majority of them saw a significant amount of increase in their health after they got treated with this drug, and they're able even to see their cases improve within like 1 day, and they're able to go home as quickly as within like a week. While they're actually were having severe issues like needing ventilators, they're able to go home after like a week of treatment with this Remdesivir drug. So that is a fantastic news, and one of the things that you can kind of determine is like the market reacted very positively to the news, and it actually moved significantly higher. So this is definitely one of the things that we need to be looking for when you actually look at some of the drugs that are being worked on or they're being produced right now. So this is basically for people that are in severe cases.
Stat News reporting this evening that Gilead's Remdesivir trial is seeing what they call rapid recoveries. Joining us now, the man who broke that story, Adam Feuerstein. He is the senior writer for Stat News. Adam, it's good to have you on. Thank you for being here. Tell us what your reporting found.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, so what we're reporting tonight is that it's basically an early snapshot of a phase 3 clinical trial of the drug Remdesivir, as you said, that's being developed by Gilead Sciences. And what we were able to obtain is a report from a hospital in Chicago, which has treated about 125 people with this drug in the clinical trial. And what they're saying and what they're showing from those data is a rapid recovery and some really very potentially interesting and encouraging results from the clinical trial. The caveat here being, Scott, is that this is a snapshot of a much larger clinical trial. It's being run all over the world. Patients are being enrolled and treated in the United States and in Europe and in Asia. And so what we have here is just a snapshot, a glimpse of the study. And what we really need to see, obviously, is the overall study results, which are coming soon.
When do you think we will get those, Adam?
So these data for this trial, and this trial enrolled, specifically this trial that we wrote about today, enrolled patients with severe COVID-19. That study is supposed to have results read out by the end of the month. A second study that Gilead is running is in moderate COVID-19 patients, and that study should have results next month.
The important thing about this study that you're reporting on is these rapid recoveries. Most of the patients who were treated, I understand from your reporting, were already discharged from the hospital. Is that right?
Right. So one of the things, and what really got us noticing this and thought that it's something that was important to report, is that the patients in the study, what they were seeing, their observations that they were seeing in Chicago with the patients they were treating there was a rapid recovery. The patients were coming in and they were getting well relatively fast, and they were being discharged. Most of the patients were being discharged from the hospital within a week. Now, this study is looking at two different dosing durations of remdesivir. They're being treated either for 5 days or for 10 days. And what they noted at the Chicago Hospital was that most patients that they're treated don't even need 10 days worth of treatment, that they're seeing patients are feeling better very, very quickly. And I did interview a patient who participated in the study. He lives in Chicago. He was short of breath, all the classic symptoms of COVID-19 that you have heard about. He had to go to the hospital. And what he told me, and this is just, again, a single patient's experience, but what he told me is that essentially he started feeling better like a day after getting remdesivir. And he was in the hospital for 4 days. He got 4 days worth of treatment with remdesivir, and he was discharged.
Amazing reporting tonight. It is moving the market. The future's in early trading. Adam Feuerstein, thank you for your time. Adam's with Stat News, of course, a senior writer there.
Now let's move on to the second stock. Now this stock is actually one of the stocks that I mentioned in the past too, which is Moderna Incorporated. And this stock also is up 21.87% on after hours trading. So as you can see over here, one of the reasons why the stock is also up is not only, the overall market is gapping up, but they secured funding for $483 million from the United States government, so that is very, very important. Let's read this. Under the agreement, they agreed with the U.S. government that the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, would fund the development of the vaccine mRNA 1273 up through approval by the U.S. regulators, as well as efforts for scaled manufacturing, Moderna said in the press release. So they're basically working on with the U.S. government to kind of get these vaccines out, getting testings out by fall of 2020. So this is the vaccine that we need, for the average people around the world, So the first stock, Juliet Sciences, is actually for people that are severe cases, and this is for people that are, average people that need vaccines to protect themselves, So the Moderna vaccines is one of the first to begin human trials. So this is going to be the important thing that you need to look for. The other companies, they're actually in preclinical trials. They're basically in phase 1, phase 2 of the FDA approval processes, but this was one going to be the first company that's going to trial with humans, So this is a huge, huge thing. There are 70 vaccines in some stages of development now. The World Health Organization has said Moderna said that if the trial is successful, it could reach the final stages of testing by fall of 2020. So this is super close. That's why it's getting a lot of governmental backup and also, organizations backing it up to support this vaccine. This is the one that is super close, even though other companies are still going to be working on the development of vaccines. Let's say, for example, J&J. J&J is also Johnson & Johnson is basically also working on a vaccine, but that's going to be coming out into 2021 if everything goes as smoothly as possible. But this is the company that is closest, and human trials are going to be, starting to happen right now. So now the third stock that we're going to be looking at is going to be Abbott Labs. This stock, I also mentioned it. This is important mainly because they actually expanded their testing. They usually have their testings using biomolecular testing, but in order to do mass testing, they need to do antibody tests. So Abbott Labs basically announced that they're going to expand into different type of tests. And the fantastic news is they don't have to go to FDA to kind of produce this antibody testings, to kind of determine if a person has, gone through, has been exposed to the virus and actually produced antibodies to protect themselves from this pandemic virus. So basically they are expanding to these different kind of tests. They're currently working on 3 type of tests. The first one is the molecular test, which basically can test out and determine that if you have the virus or not within like 5 minutes, which is fantastic. Now the second and the third bug is basically going to help determine if you asymptomatic or if you have the symptoms. You can take this test. If you do not have the symptoms, you can figure out if you have the virus or not by taking the antibiotic test. So this is fantastic news, and this company is basically in a very, very good position right now, also as a buy ratings right now. As you can see over here, it's not actually, compared to the other 2 companies, it's not actually up right now after hours, but it's basically, this is one of the year-to-date chart. It bounced back from the lows that it made from this huge sell-off that we experienced. Now it's currently at 96, even though it's way past this 1-year price target, and its 52-week highs. It's close to this 52-week highs, and that is basically what is the current situation over here. But the other 3 companies, they're way past their 1-year estimates, and their 52-week ranges are basically going to make all-time highs tomorrow when the market opens, because of the amazing progressions that they are seeing and the amazing progress they're actually producing with their drugs. And so these are the top 3 stocks that we are actually looking at, and these are the hot stocks of this past week. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure to like the video. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, because I'll be posting more videos like this in the future, and I will catch you on the next video.